Breaking the news. Donetsk civilians won't evacuate despite drone attacks. Are they ready to fight? December 30, 2025. If you support Ukraine, above us, subscribe to Defense Reports. It's your go-to source for timely, in-depth military and defense reports. I'm Alex, and with me is Aratea for the latest from Defense Report, where we give you sharp, no-nonsense breakdowns of global defense, military tech, and strategic developments. And today we're going to cover the brutal reality of survival on Ukraine's front lines. We're looking at a place where resilience is pushed to its absolute limit, and the fight is moving from the trenches to, believe it or not, the supply routes, and even more chillingly, into the minds of children.
Welcome. And for this deep dive, our mission is really to unpack the stories behind these headlines. We have a stack of unique sources: humanitarian reports, military analyses, testimonials from the ground, to analyze the extreme resilience of Ukrainian civilians as they face their fourth winter of war. We're going beyond the numbers to understand the systematic violations of international law, the high-tech battle for logistics, and this campaign of forced assimilation that's targeting the next generation.
Okay, let's just dive right in. Let's start on the front lines. In the Donetsk region, the town of Kurakov. From what I'm reading in these reports, Russian forces are closing in, and the picture they paint it's just one of total destruction.
It is. We're talking multi-story apartment buildings, just burning, debris covering the central streets. The mail office is gone. And yet, despite all that, the reports say hundreds of residents are still there. They're staying.
It seems like an impossible choice. How do you even leave at this point?
That's the thing. The risk of leaving is astronomical. The single road in and out of Kurakov, the police are calling it the road of death.
The road of death.
Yes, it's under constant drone attack. Russian drones. They've already killed 5 civilians just trying to get out. The road is just littered with the burned-out husks of civilian cars.
So if you can't get out and the town is destroyed, how is anyone surviving? Who's keeping them alive?
Well, that responsibility has fallen almost entirely to this one incredible group. They're a mix of police and volunteers called the White Angels.
The White Angels.
They're basically the last functioning entity in the city. They run the only food store, they provide first aid, remove bodies, and they manage these daily evacuations. They get maybe 6 to 12 people out a day. They are the only lifeline where all state infrastructure has completely collapsed.
And I saw this detail. Their ability to even do that, to be that lifeline, it depends entirely on technology.
It does. They have to use these armored vehicles that are kitted out with electronic warfare equipment, RDB, or jammers. One of the commanders said that without it, the journey is, and I'm quoting here, just a lottery.
So just to be clear for everyone listening, REB, radio electronic warfare, it creates this kind of electronic bubble around the vehicle, right? It stops the drones from targeting them.
Exactly. Without that bubble, they're an instant target for FPV drones. These are, low-cost guided missiles, essentially. It means just bringing in food is a high-tech military operation.
The sacrifice is unbelievable. But it brings us back to that question the UN keeps asking. Why? Why do people stay in a literal kill zone?
It's so complex. On one hand, you have this deep, deep emotional attachment to home. But the bigger factor really is economic. It's a tragic trap. People who left earlier just couldn't find jobs or affordable housing elsewhere in Ukraine. So for the elderly, for anyone on a fixed income, going back to a destroyed home, well, at least you don't have to pay rent.
It's this grim defiance.
Yeah.
I saw a quote in one of the reports, something like, "We have survived 4 years, we will survive another year." But that defiance comes at a staggering cost, especially for the elderly or people with mobility issues.
And that's where the individual stories are just heartbreaking. You have to think about people like Valentina Matejko. She's 49, a wheelchair user in Kurakov. When the shelling started, she couldn't get to her building's basement. She literally had nowhere to hide.
And there was the other story, Mikhailo Maistruk, the 67-year-old amputee, trapped in his apartment for 2 years.
2 full years. Just because the elevator in his building stopped working, he couldn't go outside until the police finally came to evacuate him. These people are invisible casualties of infrastructure collapse.
And the causes of death, they're not always what you'd think. It's not just shrapnel.
No, tragically, it's often freezing to death in rooms where it's 0 degrees Celsius. Or starvation. One volunteer found a 90-year-old woman who hadn't eaten for 3 or 4 days. They're dying in silence.
So this human tragedy, this sheer survival, it all hinges on that one fragile, high-tech supply line. Which brings us to the next front in this conflict, the technological battle to keep those roads open.
Right, and what's so fascinating here is how civilian ingenuity has become a key part of military defense. We're seeing a civilian company, a road construction company called Autostrada, building anti-drone defenses.
A road company. What are they building?
They're putting up these massive overhead netting structures. The goal is to physically block Russian FPV and kamikaze drones, and they are incredibly efficient at it. The reports say they're installing nearly 500 meters of this netting per day.
500 meters a day. That's amazing.
It's 3 times faster than traditional military methods. And it's not just protecting military convoys. It's protecting evacuation buses, aid trucks, the entire logistical backbone.
The danger for those crews must be off the charts.
It is. They're working in a kill zone. They can't stray more than 5 meters from the road because of mines. They're under constant threat from shelling, from reconnaissance drones. It really shows you how the front line has shifted. It's now the humanitarian supply chain itself.
And this tech adaptation goes both ways. Ukraine is using these very advanced fiber-optic drones, the FOUAVs. They're effective because they can't be jammed, right?
Exactly. The fiber optic cable provides a physical link, so jamming doesn't work. They have a confirmed range of up to 50 kilometers. But there is a serious hidden environmental cost here that the sources are starting to flag.
Okay, what's the catch?
The catch is the cable itself. It's a polymer fiber, and these drones lay kilometer after kilometer of it.
Which is basically plastic wire.
Precisely. This spiderweb-like plastic is almost never retrieved. It'll last for hundreds of years, tangled in forests across farmland. It complicates future demining, and it poses long-term pollution risks. We're talking microplastics, PFAS, forever chemicals. It's a silent ecological time bomb that will affect Ukrainian agriculture for generations.
A ticking time bomb. That connects right back to the immediate crisis. The UN's says that the damage to energy infrastructure, plus colder weather forecasts, this winter could be the worst one yet. They're afraid of thousands of people just being stranded in high-rise buildings without any heat or utilities.
And while that's happening, Russia is executing this systematic strategy to consolidate control in occupied areas like Donetsk.
It starts with something they call passportization.
Exactly. They're issuing Russian passports, and more than that, biometric passports, fingerprints, voice signatures. It's not just paperwork, it's building a massive surveillance database for long-term control.
And they're linking this directly to basic survival, aren't they? It's a tool of coercion.
It's incredibly insidious. We're seeing that access to medical care, to social services, it's being denied unless you have these new Russian ID documents. They're weaponizing people's needs.
On top of that, they're trying to actively change the demographics. I read they're promoting occupied Ukraine as a real estate opportunity for Russians.
Yes, with preferential mortgages to attract them. In places like Skadovsk and occupied Kherson, they're encouraging Russians to come buy apartments. It's a deliberate policy to dilute the local Ukrainian population.
All of which brings us to the most horrifying part of this strategy, the forced removal, indoctrination, and militarization of Ukrainian children. The scale is just staggering. Over 19,000 verified cases, but estimates go up to 260,000. These kids are, as the sources say, stolen, not lost.
It is a deliberate, state-sponsored campaign of cultural erasure. They're forced into propaganda sessions, conversations about important things. They have to raise the Russian flag, prepare aid packages for the Russian army. Their entire Ukrainian identity is being systematically dismantled.
And it doesn't stop at indoctrination. It escalates to actual militarization. What are we talking about here?
Well, a survey showed 41% of these children reported exposure to militarization. That means hands-on weapons training, tactics, explosives, and what's truly shocking, there are documented cases of draft notices being handed out to 17-year-olds, even 11th graders, forced to go register for military service. A 13-year-old was sent to a camp for training to prepare for war.
My God. And how are they getting these kids in the first place?
It's pure coercion. Parents are deceived, told it's just a summer camp, but there's a terrible threat. If they don't retrieve their child within 6 months, they're threatened with forced Russian adoption. Their legal ties could be erased forever.
And the abuse for those who are detained to resist.
It's systematic. 17% of children surveyed reported being detained, interrogated, even subjected to torture with electric shocks. And 18% were denied medical care unless they had a Russian ID.
What's the psychological toll when they finally come back? I mean, beyond the obvious trauma of war.
It's incredibly deep. All of them have been exposed to explosions, but it's the systematic erasure of their identity that causes this profound disorientation. Their language, their history, their symbols, all of it is attacked. It's not just PTSD. It's an intentional effort to hollow them out from the inside. This is exactly why the UN Secretary General has stated these actions may amount to the crime against humanity of forcible transfer of population.
So, to recap, we've gone from the sheer endurance of civilians in Kharkov to the high-tech war over supply lines, and finally to this systematic campaign to steal Ukraine's future by targeting its children.
And what all these sources reveal, really, is that while the military conflict rages, there's a slow-motion ecological and humanitarian disaster unfolding. The battlefield isn't just about territory, it's about the long-term integrity of the land itself and the identity of the next generation. The future of Ukraine won't just be about rebuilding cities, it will be about how they address this legacy of plastic war debris and the profound psychological wounds of a stolen childhood.
You've been listening to Defense Report by Alex and Aria, where we analyze the latest in military strategy, global defense, and advanced weaponry. Subscribe to Defense Reports, your go-to source for timely, in-depth military and defense reports. We'll catch you next time.